Hello and welcome to Region Weather Live, your online YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. I am meteorologist Brad Warner, and I just got to say thank you so much for everybody who has subscribed so far. We're over 500 subscribers. Last I looked, we're at 525. I know small potatoes compared to what else is out there on YouTube, but it means a lot to me. So I really do appreciate everybody who has done so already. A little over halfway to my goal of 1,000. I was hoping to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. So thank you so much. So if you haven't done so already, hit subscribe, hit the like, hit the share button so that more and more people can view this page. Let's get this to 1,000. That would be absolutely fantastic, and I would appreciate it so much if people did. So more people that see this, obviously the more help I can be out there, not only for severe weather. I'm on live for severe weather. I issue these forecasts, but also for the winter. We got to, keep an eye on things. I don't want to quite mention that kind of stuff yet, but just so you know, I'll be here for the winter as well. So we start off by taking a look at the upper level pattern, and it's going to start off a little bit warm tomorrow. We've got a bit of a ridge sitting over us, so it's going to be allowing some warm air into our region over the next couple of days. Now, for Thursday, there is a very weak trough that kind of moves through. You can see just these little kinks in the isobars, and just even within the wind itself, just these small little kinks that are in there that are going to help maybe set off a few storms late in the afternoon into the early parts of Thursday night. So that's something that we'll focus in on a little bit and then here shortly. And then as we get into Friday, a little more vigorous wave begins to move across. You can see this one begins to move across and move to the northeast. And that's associated along with a surface cold front that also moves across the area. However, as that does so, note the stronger winds still remain a little bit further back to the west from when that trough is and from where that cold front moves through. So that might kind of impedes some of the severity of the storms that move through. But nevertheless, we're still expecting some storms to be severe, but just because the stronger winds, the stronger shear is going to remaining a little bit further west, it's going to impede it just a bit. That's kind of what the Storms Prediction Center is going with as well. This is for tomorrow. This is just a 1 out of 5, kind of a marginal risk for severe storms for tomorrow. That might get a little bit, see a slight upgrade just because it is going to be day 1 tomorrow, and they usually like to fine tune that just a bit. But for now, we're just kind of under a marginal risk. And then for Friday, kind of the same thing. We're just in a 1 out of 5 based on those upper level winds remaining a little bit further back. So there's still a lot of uncertainty associated with these storms as they're expected to move across on Friday. So of course, on Thursday, we do start off with plenty of warm weather. 90s expected across the entire area for Thursday. Once we get into Friday, more warm temperatures across most of the area. That cold front begins to sweep across the western parts of the Dakotas, so they might not make it quite as warm just because of that, but the remainder of the area kind of sits in those 80s and 90s. It looks like we're getting some cool lake breeze off of Lake Superior, so some of those areas in the Arrowhead region might not be quite as warm just because of that lake breeze that looks like it's going to be taking effect there. The other thing to note is we get a lot of dew points or higher dew points that move into the area, and we get some pooling for Thursday, kind of in that boundary that we're expecting some of these storms to fire up in central Minnesota and then in the eastern parts of the Dakotas. And then as we get into Friday, you can see, again, higher dew points. We're sitting into 60s to 70 degree dew points across a good chunk of the eastern Dakotas and into Minnesota. But again, here comes that front that sweeps across and cools things off and reduces that humidity. Now, of course, along with that, for Thursday, we take a look at the capes, the convective available potential energy. Again, kind of pooling in that area that I just mentioned for Thursday, eastern Dakotas around central parts of Minnesota. And then as we get into Friday, a big pool of capes in the 3,000 to 4,000 range across the eastern Dakotas and into Minnesota as well. So plenty of energy to work with. It's just not, the upper level support isn't quite there. So with all that being said, there is still a frontal boundary out there. You can see where this particular model kind of shows some of these storms firing up into northern parts of Minnesota, maybe southeastern North Dakota, northeast South Dakota, and then possibly a few storms in through central parts of South Dakota as well. Remind you, we had these short little weak little troughs that kind of move through. So it looks like it wants to set off a couple of areas of some storms that might bring some hail and some winds, maybe even isolated tornado into some of these into Minnesota. But they're not expected to be any type of widespread, large, severe type of event for Thursday. As we get into Friday, you can see that frontal boundary begins to fire up those storms kind of in the late afternoon hours across central parts of the Dakotas, mainly across North Dakota, with a few cells possible into South Dakota. But again, those storms begin to push eastward and probably start off with some hail and some strong damaging winds. But then I think as you get into more of the nighttime, here we are right around by midnight or so, I think it's going to become more of a wind damage event as you get into the night, and those storms kind of fizzle out and kind of interact with the cold pool that they're basically creating, and just all that air comes rushing out of the storm. So that's sort of what I think the main focus will wind up being as we get into Friday night and early parts of Saturday morning. Now, another model that we take a look at, the HRRR, kind of shows about the same thing for Thursday, kind of in this area, some storms firing up, maybe some localized hail and some strong damaging winds. But by and large, nothing too bad. And then as we get into Friday, once again, you can see those storms fire up into central, eastern parts of the Dakotas, and then move across and into Minnesota through the overnight hours. So that's basically what we're focusing on now for Thursday and for Friday. As we get into Saturday, let's just take a quick look at that, I guess, just so you know, have an idea maybe what the weekend has in store. How about we do that? Flip on over. There we go. Really not much. I mean, there's really not much to show. Here we are on Saturday. Maybe a few leftover showers and storms across parts of Minnesota in the morning. Once we get into the afternoon hours, it looks like most of those want to move off. And then the remainder of your Saturday and your Sunday actually looks pretty nice. So that's sort of what we're looking at. So for Thursday and Friday, into Thursday night, Friday night, that's sort of the time frame that we're looking at. Nothing too widespread or exponentially damaging that we're looking at, but just a couple of areas we'll have to keep an eye on. And as always, I will be watching them for you. So if anything bad comes up, I will be on live. So make sure you do subscribe and hit the bell button below. Once again, appreciate everybody who's done so. It means so much to me. For Region Weather Live, I am meteorologist Brad Warner. Everybody have a good day.